Hmm. This stuff is hard. I'm telling you, as a sales professional, if you're thinking that you're just going to send out a bunch of emails and all of a sudden you close some deals and you're going to be on the golf course and driving a Ferrari, life's going to be good while you're traveling, drinking whatever you drink. It ain't going to happen like that easy. You got to put some work in. And today we're going to talk exactly about that. You're going to love this guest, Carson Heady. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On today's episode, we have a fantastic guest. His name is Mr. Carson Heady. Carson has been on the show in a while in the past. He's an influencer on LinkedIn with a plethora of information that he shares around utilizing LinkedIn to sell, and he is a big proponent of the organization that he works with, and he with Microsoft. So Carson, though, is not just a traditional seller. Carson looked for ways that he can give back to the community, but also how he can help his team to be able to optimize their performance. He's a very practical guy in many ways, because what I found with him is like he was working in he'd talk about this in the episode about how his technical folks were saying you can't get access, or his team was saying you can't get access to some of these C levels and it was hard and so forth. But he was like, you know what, problem? I'm going to figure it out. And he found a practical way to get around it and solve the problem. And we are problem solvers as sellers. And he's going to give us some idea about this. He wrote a recent book, phenomenal. And in it, he lays out his plays, and just free. You can take advantage of it. I mean, obviously, you're going to pay for the book, so you see the plays in there. But he talks about it. The show must go on, and you can check that out. We're going to identify hit 3 main points today. We're going to talk a little bit about resilience, about prospecting, and about how we can be persistent. And you'll see how all of these tie together and some examples with it. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, subscribe. I promise you're going to get pumped every single time we drop an amazing episode like this one. Additionally, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can also check out our sponsors. They're giving you some amazing stuff. So as we dive in, Carson goes right into talking about the first point here about resilience and what's the problem we're seeing right now with sellers and how we can tackle this. Check it out. Carson, it's good to have you back, man. Welcome to the show.
Donald, it's always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I bragged about you a little bit there in the teaser. You had a previous book. Now you have your second book. You also have, produced a whole lot of content, a big fan of LinkedIn, and just 25 years of sales experience, just really remarkable. This latest project, I want to go down into the heart of it, though. Tell me about why another book, though, Carson? There's so many books here that I need to catch up on already. And why another book?
Yeah, I get it. It's one of those things I said never again, that I wasn't going to do another book. But what I think spoke to me is the post-pandemic era, right? Sales has changed so much while the fundamentals stay the same. So many elements of sales have changed, how we connect with potential buyers, how data focused they are, how much data is at their fingertips, what it means to be buyer-centric. And just over the last 5 years, too, I always find that the more time I get to spend in sales, the more I learn how to negotiate the big deals, the more I learn about how to truly go out and prospect and connect with folks. And then lastly, the amount of resilience that it takes to be successful in sales over the body of a career amidst the setbacks and the challenges and the struggles and the changes. So that's what the book is all about. I felt that I had something new to say, and so I said it.
No, and I appreciate it. We were talking earlier. You mentioned this idea that and I'm just going to really paraphrase this and probably not as succinct and glamorous as you did it, but
you'll be fine.
Looking at B2B sales landscape right now, I found that there is this, and literally we're doing a back to basics series that we just finished up. And one of the things that I find is that everyone is looking for a shortcut, which is nothing new in sales or in any discipline that is, but they're looking for a shortcut. And we're seeing an advance with AI. We're seeing an advance with, even more so with automation. And usually this is sales is not for the faint of heart. Like, you're going to have those days, you're going to get beat up. And I find, do you feel that there is a resilience issue right now in B2B sales?
Yeah. I mean, how could there not be? You hit on this, Donald. I mean, so much has changed. And A lot of sales cultures and sales leadership are not able to do much other than go after the widget, or they're not training their team. They don't even know how to approach the new landscape. Our buyers are smarter than they've ever been before. I read a book that changed the game for me last year, and it was The Jolt Effect by Matt
Yeah.
Dixon and Tim McKenna. And the reason why was because it's all about fear of messing up now. It's not about fear of missing out as much as it's about fear of messing up. And unless we de-risk the buyer's decision, we're not going to sell anything. And frankly, unless we get to the right power in these organizations, we're not going to sell anything. Too many of us rely on the lower level person that will talk to us to go do our job for us and go sell it to the C-suite, go sell it to the board. We've got to get to the board. We've got to get to the C-suite. And that's what this is all about. I literally published my LinkedIn playbook that's generated over $1 billion of revenue in the last 10 years. And how it's created a 50% success rate with getting to the C-suite, getting to the board. Because here's the thing, you hit on AI.
Mm-hmm.
We're all using it, but some of us are using it better than others. If you're just becoming noise and you're just one of the 1,000 emails that our customers is getting right now, just talking about how great your product is, they don't care. You're done. You're gone. But if you show up looking different, smelling different, being different, sell it like a mango, right?
Yeah.
If you show up doing it better, doing it different, and putting that personal touch into the AI, using it to get to the right buyer, but also still focusing on earning the right to be the trusted advisor, you give yourself the probability of success. And that's really what is at the heart of my message, is do it the right way, do it honorably. Use AI to save yourself time. I can absolutely think of 3 to 5 great things about my product that could resonate with my buyer, or 3 to 5 things that could immediately add value for my buyer. AI might help me come up with 10. And you never know which one is going to resonate with them in that moment. My team thinks I'm a genius because on calls, sometimes I'll be asking the large language models what I should say to this exact title based on their LinkedIn profile or based on other parameters with their company earnings reports. And I'm getting these things fed to me in real time. I can regurgitate them. That's how the best salespeople are getting better, is using AI to augment their way of connecting genuinely and authentically with buyers, figuring out what matters to them, what risk they see, and then working diligently to de-risk their decision to go with you.
Okay, so let me. This is really awesome. Took some little notes here. First off, the augmentation. Don't swing the pendulum all into the one direction of I'm not going to do anything and I'm just going to let AI do all my job for me, or the fear of AI taking my job, so I'm not going to use it. Versus the other side where it's this, where it may be. Sorry, I guess that's this pendulum swinging to the other side, not doing it. But in the middle is where you're saying, I'm still doing my sales effort. I'm still going to do personalized outreach, but I probably can use AI to help me to get more. What else can I look at? What am I missing? Are there any other ways that I can find information to connect with Donald? And there are tools that we take advantage of. And I get that component there. Makes sense there. You mentioned a couple of things. Jolt Effects, big fan of that. So we're going to put that in the show notes as well, so you can get access to it just with your book. Big shout out to Matt. I'm talking to him like we're on first name Mason now, Matt Dixon.
Absolutely.
But then the component here that I thought was interesting, and I would love for us to take that as a conversation piece, because the frustration that I find that I teams that I consult with is, yes, we know that it's like, I know there's wet paint, Carson, but I'm going to touch that wet paint, like no matter what. I know that this doesn't work, but that's all that I know. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to, or I get the pressure from above that you need to increase your demand. So then therefore the only thing I'm going to do is just, I know this may not work, but I'm going to still send out that mass to, 500 people, hoping that somebody else can respond from it. Let's break that behavior, so to speak. Give us one of the plays you use to get access to, in Vito, so to speak, very important top officer, or that C-suite with your LinkedIn approach, something that's maybe refreshing that can get somebody motivated and inspired when it comes to this.
I love it. And it's all in the book. So literally, Donald, what I will do, and I read something recently that said, and this stuck out to me, it basically said your job isn't going to be replaced by AI, but your job might be replaced by somebody who's using AI better than you are. And here's the key element is, if I'm going after C-levels, it's law of averages. I can control the quality of my message, I can control the quantity of outreach, and I can control the consistency by which I prospect and touch my customers positively over time. You don't water your garden once and expect it to sprout. And I think the key element is looking at that law of averages. I'm using AI to help me write a perfect personalized message to these organizations. The biggest deal I've ever signed, I reached out to over 500 people in that organization. I met the president, got in his office, brought him a copy of my CEO's book. Sales fundamentals kicked in. They were thinking about the competition. And ultimately, we wound up doing a deal. It took 2 years. It was amidst a pandemic and it was in healthcare. But we were able to earn the right to be the trusted advisor there. But if I'm looking at a book of business, I can go into Sales Navigator. I can legitimately look up any organization that I want. I can look up C-level, VP level, director level. I can export those contacts into a grid. I can figure out their email address with Zoom info. So I'm messaging 50, 60, 80, sometimes 100 executives in one organization at a time. I'm using AI to help me write a message that is basically, it's all in the prompt. Write a first person, powerful email message that will, have the maximum amount, probability of being opened or clicked on, with, great subject line, that sort of thing. But write it about why it would behoove this organization to partner with me or to consider me and my organization. And I can name all these things. I can put websites. The real power of it is putting in the website of the customer or the LinkedIn profile of the customer that you're reaching out to specifically and saying to write it to that audience, because I can cite the mission statement of the organization that I'm reaching out to in my message multiple times. Those are the types of things that stand out. Those are the types of things that get responses. In the last 6 months, I've reached out to over 100 priority customers. I've created 70 net new line of business relationships in different C levels, VP levels in that time. It's unheard of. And it's because of the power of AI, because I can reach out to a lot of customers with a brilliant message. I didn't write it, but I can massage it, right? But a lot of customers, brilliant message, the law of averages is with you. It's what I call my Moneyball approach. Statistically speaking, if you do that, you will be successful.
Are you doing that then with, when you set this, you mentioned this here, are you then emailing these individually, or are you using a tool that's getting this information out after the message is created?
Yes. Emailing them individually. And here's the thing. If I send out 50 messages to one organization, all I need is one reply. It's a domino effect. Then you're trying to earn a meeting. And I think, to your point, there are no shortcuts. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to get a meeting.
Yeah. Which goes right back into the next part. We're being resilient. Prospecting is you haven't seen a cure for not prospecting. Right? It seems like, and I'm literally doing an episode on that, because this one, I had a friend yesterday, and I won't say his name, but it's a good friend of mine, and I can talk about him. So you know who you are. You're listening to this episode. He said that, and he's a solopreneur running a small business startup, and he said that he would not, he knows he needs a prospect, but then he finds himself literally doing laundry or doing something else or some other task that pulls him away from doing that thing. And I find that we can go into the deeper into the spider web of what causes that. But I do feel that many of us as sales professional, we loathe that area because it is one of the most challenging piece. Your message is you didn't say this, but I feel like it's shut up and do it. It's going to need to be done, Donald. It needs to happen, right? You got it. And I'm just massaging it, but this idea that's you need to do it. It's a part of the game. We have to do prospecting, and you address this a little bit in the book. So talk to us a little bit on that.
Yeah, look, I'm one of those sick people who actually likes prospecting. So because it works. Look, right? I like to say there's a lot of people that you alluded to this earlier. There's a lot of people that fall back on comfortable ways of mediocrity or comfortable ways of failing. It's new muscle. It's a new muscle to go out and prospect like this. I've trained this methodology in 11 countries. I've presented it to my CEO. I've shown many, many people this methodology, but they don't all pick it up, even though it's guaranteed to help you. And I think there are people that shy away from prospecting because it can be challenging sometimes. I've tried to create an easy button for it. But I think the key element is most people don't like to be rejected. Most people don't sometimes there's glass that needs to be broken. There's folks that say, hey, why in the world are you messaging my CFO? They try to keep you in a box as a salesperson, and I've got answers for that too. But I go back to what Jeb Blunt says. You've got to have that sacred power hour, and you've got to carve it out, and it's a non-negotiable. You've got to water your garden every day or it's going to die. And so many sellers right now are banking. We're coming up on the end of the year. So many sellers are banking on that whale or that one big deal. And if that thing goes kaput, you got nothing in the pipe. My pipeline, I pride myself in the fact that my team currently has 3 times the pipeline coverage of any other team doing what we do in the world. And that means that by default, statistically speaking, we will hit the number. We have higher probability of hitting the number than anybody else. Control what you can control. You can control if and how you prospect, and you've got to do it.
I love it. I love that. We got a little bit here, and I want to go into the last component. It's this idea of the persistence / personalized concept. Can you talk to me about how you address this in a book and what you're seeing?
I've been doing this a long time, and over the last few years, and especially post pandemic and going to virtual settings and back to back calls and pressures from above and all of the factors. I mean, the grind is real. The reason that the persistence and the resilience piece is so critical is because it's the only way we're going to survive. Keep moving forward. It's the only way you can thrive. And so I think the reason that I talk about that, and frankly, that's the whole reason it's called The Show Must Go On, is because no matter what you're going through, no matter what challenges you've had, or you just lost a deal that you needed desperately, you got to pick yourself up and you got to keep going. Sometimes I've liked to pride myself in being like the Rocky Balboa of sales. I've been rejected for thousands of jobs. I've lost so many deals, but it's what you do after that, and with that learning and that experience and that wisdom, that will ultimately define your success. And I like to say, like, my job begins when people say no, or it can't be done. I had a deal last year where we needed to get some funding dollars to help this project get off the ground. And I was literally told by one of my counterparts, you're not going to get any money. It's all dried up. It's not possible. I found an internal champion, found some creative, unique ways to go after this funding, went to our chief commercial officer, multiple heads above me, and we got $1 million in funding to get this project off the ground, and it happened. And I think that's the thing. Never quit, never say die. It's not easy. It's not easy. We're all grappling with things in our personal lives, family, in the world. There's uncertainty, there's ambiguity, but the best salespeople thrive in ambiguity and uncertainty because they just won't stop.
Oh, love it. I couldn't agree with you more on that. In that approach, let's go back deeper into, you found that personal contact, because I would love to just, in the last couple minutes here, what did you do in particular to make that internal champion see the need for, or the interest? Because I had a coach once tell me, and sales leaders, you can always find money if the pain is big enough, or if there's a reason, right?
And everything is selling. I do a lot of listening. I'm just an average guy, but I've been able to be very successful because I pay attention to the problems that my leadership talks about. I created my entire social selling platform because I heard leaders say, we don't have any relationships outside of IT and procurement at a low level. And while, yes, we need those relationships, we need to get to the board, the C-level, the CFO, the CEO. And I was like, well, these guys are out on LinkedIn. I can go find them out there. And I did, in droves, and that's what helped me be successful. Now, in this case, some of our most important selling is internal. You've got to go out and find that internal champion. I may not have the political clout to get the deal done, but if I find somebody internal, and in this case, I found somebody 2 levels above me that would have cared about the net new workloads that we were driving as a part of this deal. And so I reached out to that person and basically said, look, we've got an opportunity here. It doesn't necessarily fit by default on paper, some of the programmatic offerings that are out there, but can we get creative? I'd love to land this. I see the opportunity for the business, why this would matter to our organization, and why it would matter to your number, to your metrics. I made it all about them. And if you make it all about them, your internal champion, just like your customer, you're ultimately helping them get into the boat with you. You got to sell them on getting in the boat with you. Now, this person saw it. They saw the opportunity. They wanted to get it done. And they had a lot more political clout than I did. So they started championing this deal. They're the ones who helped me take it to the chief commercial officer. We were on one call with the chief commercial officer. He said, what do you want? We said $1 million. We got it. And basically, from this situation where there was zero chance, everybody said it's not going to happen. We made it happen and we got the deal done.
I love it. I love this, man. So good. The book's out there. Where can I find it?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble. The Show Must Go On, and it's the sequel to Salesman on Fire.
Okay. Well, we're going to put that in our show notes. I love the fact that the plays are written into this. You gave us a lot of ideas how we can make sure we're resilient, make sure we can prospect effectively, and keep doing it. And then also just to make sure we're persistent and don't take the eye off personalization. I love the strategies here. And Carson, one of the biggest takeaways from this is we just can't give up too easy. I think we've heard this term before, that we're consultants rather than just sellers. And yeah, you're selling an idea. And I think when you come in with this relentless focus that you're the superhero. They come to you when there's a huge problem. And when we could think about ourselves like that, there's always a way around it, to find those problems and to resolve those problems. And that's why we get paid the big bucks. So love it,
I
man.
love it. And if you make everyone else around you a hero,
Yeah.
the rising tides will raise all boats. You'll be successful.
I love it, Carson. We're going to put a link to your to you in the show notes to your LinkedIn profile, because I would highly recommend folks connect with you and follow you and to continue to learn from you. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today, man.
Thank you, my friend. Always good to see you.
That was Carson Heady. You can find information about him in the show notes. Tell him that you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And I'm really, really excited for all the great stuff that he has coming up. Check out his book, man. I'm telling you, it is good stuff. Find a link in the show notes. You can also check out his past episodes in the show notes, as well as you get a chance to connect with Mr. Carson Heady there. He's on LinkedIn, and we have a link to his LinkedIn profile. One takeaway I'll tell you from this episode is that we are problem solvers. There are going to be issues, and you can solve those. And it's not necessarily what, but who. There are many people around you that can help you out. And in the story he shared, there was somebody that was 2 levels above him that was able to bring into the opportunity and to see success. And that was able to see success. As always, man, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. And if you're interested in our sales mastermind that kicks off in January, where you can get a chance to work with, learn from other sales professionals, go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind and apply. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Can't wait to see you. Raise your level of thinking. Go out, do big things. See you on the next one.